Alright, so today we're going to be going over, let me get this camera a little bit centered here. Okay, so this is your exercise 6. What you guys are going to be doing is making analogous, complementary, split complementary, triad, and disharmony color swatches, kind of like the exercise that we did last class. So, I'm just going to start out with, I'm going to use my medium yellow, get a glob on there, and then some red. What I'm going to do with this is, and I'm going to use the cool red. Set the, yeah, cool red. No, warm red. Um, and then phthalo blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these two. I'm going to create an orange. And then from there, oh, I need to go get a new paper towel. All right. So let's grab a good chunk of this. And then try not to get my yellow fouled up already. Grab a good chunk of this. And then we'll just mix these two. Get a nice orange here. All right. Oop. There goes my pen. My big brush. Okay. Not quite. All right. There we go. It looks pretty well blended right there. So we've got our orange. We've got our blue. So then, just like last time, we're going to do a couple steps. So again, I'm leaning around the boom for this camera. Not a great setup here. Um, so we'll start off pure color right here. And then, let me just get all this off of here. And then we'll just do a glob of this right here. And then we'll just mix it in a little bit right there. That should be enough to kind of get that going. Actually, that's too much. Need to walk away from that. Let me grab this right here. And just a little bit of that. And keep mixing this. Make sure that's nice and consistent. I'm still seeing some runny spots in there. And then we'll put this down. Again, remember these are going to dry a little bit darker than what they look like too. So then we'll take another swab of that. And in this particular case, this phthalo blue is going to show up a lot darker than these other colors. So this is going to be biased. We kind of saw that in the color I did yesterday, where that phthalo blue really quickly took over. We'll grab a little bit more of this orange out of here, just to kind of keep these jumps fairly consistent. So again, this is a cool blue going across the color wheel to that to this orange to this red orange color. And again, kind of keep attention at how the consistency of these different paints goes, because that's what we're going to be dealing with a lot going forward here. Let me do one more step here, and then I'll start from the other direction. So I think I can work with that. But again, keep an eye on the consistency of each color you're working with. Note the viscosity that these are, that you have with each of these paints. You guys probably discovered, like, if I didn't, I think I mentioned it, but the cool yellow especially, like, that gets washed out really quick by pretty much anything else. This particular blue goes really dark. I probably should have had you guys add just a tiny bit of white to it. Okay, so that's 5, and we're going to be doing 9 steps again, just like the other day. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll put down again a solid chunk of this. Okay, and then we'll grab a little bit more here, and we'll mix this in. Grab that right there. So this is going to kind of go greenish, it looks like, which it did yesterday too. So this is kind of a very similar mixture to what I made yesterday for the demo. I probably should have grabbed different colors. Okay. And then from here, I'm going to keep going back to this chunk right here. I think I need to pull in a little bit more of this. Yeah, we need a little bit more still. There we go. Again, we're getting back to that olive color that I kept having a lot of. Or at least it looks olive to me, because I think the camera's not that great at picking up colors here. And then got space for 2 more steps, so I'll just do another big glob here. And we're starting to get kind of close. Not a lot of space when you start with something this dark to work with. So obviously we'll do a different set of colors for the next one. And then tiny bit more orange on that. So okay, that's a little bit better than I did yesterday, I think. But again, we're just experimenting. It's just an exercise, getting you guys used to these colors. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go rinse out my water, and we'll jump to the next one. Oh, no, this is why you shouldn't do demos on NyQuil. I just did the complimentary. We still have to do the analogous. So while I've got these down here, what I'll do is we'll do this. So we should have a yellow. That's not completely clear. Okay, let me go swap out my water, and I'll do the complimentary, and then now good. Okay, we're back. So, this will be me actually doing the analogous instead of the complementary. So, we have our orange right here, which is going to be right in the middle. We've got our yellow right here. So let's get a slab of that down. And this medium yellow is always really nice and thick. It doesn't Doesn't show through like that lighter yellow does. So it just takes time to get used to working with some of these pigments. So what I'm going to do is I've got my yellow, and I'm going to mix this slowly into the orange, which is going to be my middle. So let me clean the brush off. We'll make sure we've got the orange in the middle for sure. So right here. Okay, and then I'll mix a little bit in here, and we'll start working our way towards yellow. So this is going to be right here. I guess we're working our way from yellow. Yeah, that one's a little stripy. Still had a glob of orange in there. Okay, so let's try that again. It's a little bit smoother there. And then we'll go ahead and add a little bit more orange to this. I think right there is pretty good. I'm leaving those two globs kind of in this paint mixture for mixing. It looks like I needed to go a little bit more orange there. So I'm just going to scrape this bit in right here. And then we've got a little bit more orange right here to just finish this one off. Okay, and then we'll go the other way. So we'll start with the red, which would be on the far side of this. So we're kind of doing a decent little arc right here. And I think it's also worth mentioning that, yeah, we're doing like this one, I'm jumping over kind of like 5 tiles or 4 tiles, 3, whatever. Um, as long as it's kind of a certain arc in the color wheel, it's fine. Again, these are color theories. They're things that kind of you use as a principle, but you can also, in your actual work, you can jump outside of this. You don't have, you don't have to just stick to certain things. These are guides, not hard rules. All right, so we've got that. Get a little bit of water on here, and then again we'll grab a glob of red, and then we'll throw a little orange right here. I'm trying to see which way that's going. Okay, it looks like we're right about here. And then we'll throw a little bit more red in there. Drop that down. And then probably most of the rest of this glob right here will work in there. Yeah, this red is kind of a thin one. It's kind of like that cool yellow. It just kind of bleeds through really well. It doesn't have a lot of good coverage. So it might be something you need to make a couple passes with once it dries to get really, really good coverage. Let me see if I can just finish coating this part right here. Okay, and then come back with this little pool right here and try and finish off that. Again, latex dries really quickly, so you can kind of get away with that. All right, let me center this again. It looks like I bumped it. All right, so that's our complementary. Now let me go wash this all off, and we will do our split complementary. So that's going to be a little bit more of a complex process. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So I'm going to do a different set of colors this time. I'm going to go with my red light. Again, you guys can use whatever you want for this. Get off of there. Okay. And then I'm going to go with that Hansa yellow. And again, I know that one's thin, so I'm going to need a lot of it to kind of, as I'm mixing things. And then we'll go for some blue again. And I'm going to go with ultramarine blue this time. Okay. Is that even in the camp? There we go. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the red on one side. So let me get a dab of this down real quick, just to mark my spot here. And this one's going to be a little bit of a different shape than we've been doing. So I'm going to have, excuse me, water here. Okay. So we're going to have kind of a triangle shape. So I'm going to put the red down right here. And then okay, clean this off. So then next what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make, this is our split complementary. So with the blue and yellow, I was going to make a green, but then I have to go on either side of that. So what I'm going to have is one yellow that's going to be a lot closer to yellow. Because the complementary of the red is going to be green. Hold on, let me finish this. And then we'll grab, we'll need a big glob right here. I say big, but a lot of blue goes a long way in this yellow. Okay. So, actually, let's just keep mixing it. So we've got this right here. So we'll mix this in, and we should have a kind of, again, green is going to be our complement to the red. But we're doing that split complementary. So this is going to be a little bit more of a green, a yellow green rather. That came out pretty nice, actually. I'm happy with that. And then we'll keep clearing this off just in case. And then this is going to be kind of more of a blue with a hint of green to it. Okay. Might not have mixed enough right there. Okay, so then from each one of these, there it is. From each one of these, we're going to do kind of a diagonal step here. So we'll take a little bit of the red here, take a chunk of the red here, put it right there, and then we'll just grab some of this, work it in. And so you guys are going to do a couple less steps this time. It's still going to be 5 for each. Oh, that's still very wet. Let me dry this out. And actually, let me get this down too before we spoil it. So we'll be going to right about here. because I want you guys to kind of envision this going across the color wheel. At least that's how my brain works when I'm working with paint, is I kind of envision the color wheel and then where does a line go across on it, you know? All right, so let's, I did leave a lot of water on here. Oh, what's the cat doing? Yeah, she leave it alone. Okay. It might be a bit much for a first step, but just keep going there. Get the rest of this red in. Actually, let's go back to our source red. There we go. So this should be mostly green. Yeah, this one should have gone here. And we'll mix this in again here. Oh, my spacing's off too. That doesn't help. All right, let's try this one more time. We got that. And then this should get this spot as right between the two. And then we'll come back one more time for our red right here. And there we go. That's a little bit better. That's kind of thin though. I don't know what the coverage is going to be on this. That's actually pretty decent. Okay. So then that's one direction. Now we need to go the other way. So we'll take a bit of this green right here. We'll drop this right here. And you can see how well that isn't, like it's coming out super thin because of all that yellow in there. Just some pigments behave like that. So that's why I want you guys to do these exercises, is to kind of figure out how some of these go. Okay, so we've got that right there. We'll take this, I'll be my working spot right there. And then we'll just get a little dab of red on that. That's too far. Okay, so then one. And we'll put another glob of red on here. And then one more, and this will just basically be this taking over this, and then we'll need just a little bit more there to even it out. Pull it back just a little bit. Okay, so you can see how those kind of transition between each other. I think it is a really interesting mix right there, but you can see how a um, like this warmer red mixes with, you know, in both directions with those cooler colors. So let me get this dried out. This was our split complementary. I think you guys can kind of see where we're going with this. Um, so for the triad, you'll mix just a triangle and you'll go between points. Just check the exercise handout and it'll go. Oh, can you guys not see that? There we go. Yeah, so just check the exercise handout. It'll show you guys how to line everything up. So in addition to this, you'll pick a triad and then you'll also do a disharmony as well. Um, and I'm going to update the due dates on these because I haven't been in class. So I want to make sure that, you know, I get to work with you guys at some point. So we might have them do end of class on Monday. Hopefully I'm feeling better by then. I'll see you guys later.